The photographs on screen belong to a series of postcards published in the first decade of the 20th century. They depict Merthyr's High Street and many other notable buildings and scenes on the top end of the Merthyr Valley, notably looking at Cefncoed, Pendarran, Dowlais and Merthyr town centre itself. The photos show a Merthyr heading into the 20th century, with the population still growing vastly. In a few short years, the population would reach 90,000. Many of the photos depict a brand new tram service that was operating between the town centre, Cefncoed and Dowlais. It started operating in 1901 and ferried the many workers from Brecon Road and Cefncoed up to Dowlais Ironworks and the surrounding coalfields. In that same year, 1901, many people in Merthyr were busy planning the national Eisteddfod, which Merthyr was proudly being the host of in this year. They were planning on constructing a gigantic pavilion in Pendarran Park, which would house over 10,000 people. In the previous year, 1900, the recreation grounds that would later become known as Thomastown Park were opened, and near that site in Toynrodin, a Gorsedd circle was constructed. That was where the people flocked to begin the national Eisteddfod in that year. Thousands of people would lead the way from the circle, through the town, up to the pavilion at Pendarran Park. The Bardic crown that year was created in Flux Jewellers. Many a Merthyr person was awarded for their contribution in the Eisteddfod. Dr. Joseph Parry, a former Merthyr boy himself, was there as a judge, and Merthyr Municipal Band won high praise all across the day's events. Merthyr's junior MP, James Keir-Hardy, watched the day's events, and this being the first time he had ever seen or experienced the national Eisteddfod, he was asked to comment and only had one word for the event: magnificent. Even though Merthyr's population was still growing rapidly, and the prosperity in the town is clear to see in these photos, Merthyr was still in slow industrial decline. All but one of the 4 great ironworks that had been founded in the town was closed. Eventually, that last great ironworks would close, and within a few short decades after these photos were produced, Merthyr would lose around 20 to 30,000 members of its population in a great exodus from the town, people leaving in search of jobs and livelihoods that they could no longer find in Merthyr. This early 20th century Merthyr Tydfil formed the backdrop to Jack Jones's novel The Black Parade. In that novel, one of his characters, named Saran, made a particularly poignant speech about voting and politics in the town and life in the town in general. That speech is as follows: "You think I am nothing more than a damned fool when it comes to voting, but I've seen a lot of voting in my time. I remember Pritchard Morgan and D.A. Thomas when they were in their prime, and I heard talk of the things they were going to do then. Aye, and I heard the talk of the things Keir-Hardy was going to do for us when he came down here from Scotland. He was a nice man, and so was the man Walhead that came after him. And now Walhead is gone again, and all the men are gone. I've seen him come, and I've seen him go. Same as I've seen people that used to be in the British schools here made into lords and ladies, and they're gone too. I've heard your father and you talk about miners' leaders and that, and what they have done and what they're going to do. But all the same, I had to beg my way through the strike. And I'd be on my backside now like most other people around here if I hadn't had the sense enough to look after the little bit that came my way. I've come a long way, in my old backhanded way, to where we are today. I've lived under old queens and a couple of kings, and under God knows how many governments of all sorts. And here we are. Merthyr would continue to be what it always has been, a rapidly changing industrial landscape. And by the time we get to the 1940s and 50s, long after these photos depict, Merthyr was reinventing and rejuvenating itself once more.